Hey, everybody, it's Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, and I'm so honored to bring on the founder of Virtua Computers, Mr. Justin Esgar. Did I get that
Hey,
right?
man. Yeah, you got it right. Perfect.
Hey, look at that. You look at that. Son graduated today, so I guess a little bit of the smarts rubbed off on me.
That must be why you're in a nice tight suit.
Yeah. Or just because, well, I couldn't. All my good clothes were dirty, so you know.
I made it easy. I wear the same. If you watch any podcast with me, I'm wearing the same shirt. I need to buy more of these, but I know that this shirt looks good with my complexion and this background, so I just keep this shirt here. I'm not gonna tell you how bad it smells.
No, it's yeah. There you go. Yeah. Well, yeah, I was going to say, the undershirt I've been wearing for about a month, but that's just, I told you before, I didn't see that you stood up and disappeared. I was like going, hey, how do you do that trick? I'm pretty sure people would like to see less of me when I'm doing this. So, but I guess I can just oversaturate it and disappear. But eh,
Yeah.
cares. So, Justin, tell me a little bit about your journey. Why did you start Virtua Computers?
Yeah, thanks, Zach. So this journey goes back to when I was 5 years old. I was in Florida with my mom for a vacation. I come home and on my dining room table, my dad had purchased an Apple IIc computer with a monitor and a disk drive and a bunch of floppy disks. And it was weird. And I fell in love with it, right? I fell in love with the whole thing. And I remember vaguely my parents fighting about how expensive it was, but I got into it. And then I got those magazines. There used to be these the centerfold was lines of code, right? Like that's the kind of magazine it was. And I was writing programs on this thing. It blew my mind. And my journey started there. In seventh grade, I started working in the computer lab in the middle school I was in. I got a new computer then, and I just kept going with it. I was always enamored by this technology. So in college, I was doing a little bit of computer work, some web work. And when I got out of college in 2002, not a great economy for jobs. I was temping. I went away with a friend of mine. And while I was away, my sister, who lived in Manhattan at the time, had a Mac that needed some service. She called a local Mac company and got the guy's business card. When I came back, she gave me the card. I called them up and I said, hey, I need a job. Can I work for you? And they said, sure. So I went to go work for them for a couple of years. That person sold it to another company. I worked for them for a while. And then in 2008, I started the baseline of Virtual Computers, an Apple consultant based in Manhattan. So what we do is we are outsourced IT for businesses who have Macs. And from there, my journey just kind of exploded. In 2010, I started doing apps for the iPad when they first came out. I had a very popular app called Sign My Pad. It was a PDF signature application. This is pre-DocuSign, pre-EchoSign, pre all those people. Apple wrote about us. We got into a fight with Wired magazine. It was a great, like looking back on it, I was like, this is a great story. But like in the time, I was like, I can't believe they hit us. And I then from there started doing other things. I started speaking about the apps. I wrote a book about the app build. Um, and then I went on some conferences and I learned about who the people were that were coming to these conferences. And a lot of the Mac or Apple-based conferences were very technical heavy. Here's how you deploy a printer to 400 computers with one line of code. That wasn't what I was doing at the time. And so I was looking for questions on how to better run my business. And so no one had a good answer, or at least the same answer. So what I did was I started a conference. So I started the ACES conference where we brought Apple consultants in to learn how to better their business. We're now in year 9 of that conference. And through that conference, I was actually able to meet a lot of other Apple consultants, ones that I normally didn't have access to. I was only really interacting with the ones in New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut. Now I'm interacting with consultants all over the United States and all over the globe. And because of that, and because of those relationships I was able to build, actually during the pandemic, I was able to acquire 3 of them and
Wow.
integrate them into the Virtual Computers world, thus creating now virtual consulting. Virtual consulting is our overarching one, of which Virtual Computers is the outsourced IT. We acquired a company called MyMacMentor, where we do B2C, more residential training on how to use their technology, how people feel better about using their technology. We have that product. And we acquired a company towards the end of last year called Gravity, which is an Apple authorized service provider, which means we can now fix Apple hardware right in our shop in Columbia, Missouri. So laptops, desktops, iPhones, iPads, AirPods, etc. So now I kind of have the trifecta across the board of helping businesses, helping residential, and fixing your hardware on top of my conference. I have a funny t-shirt store. I've written a couple other, I wrote a kid's book. I wrote an adult coloring book. I dabbled in hardware for a little bit. Those are all like side giggy things. And I also have the conference and I host a podcast. So I got a lot going on. The journey is very weird, all stemming from that one Apple IIc computer that my dad bought in 1985.
Oh, that's crazy. You brought it up. We create our own little kids club computer, or not computer, color book. So
Oh, nice.
just talking about it, it's just something that we do to try to help get kids involved with helping others. So I think it's great. When is your conference?
So the ACES conference is normally in May. So as we're recording this today, May 19th. Once we had to go to the pandemic style of conferences. So like our conference is always in May. So we had lockdown in March of 2020. So we made a quick shift. We thought it was going to be a quick thing. So we said, all right, we'll have the conference in October and and I wanted to do like a 2-day Jerry Lewis style, 48 hours of all new fresh content and get all my friends involved to do this thing and also raise money for, a charity or whatever it is. My wife and my co-host at the time were both like, don't do this. You have little children. You need sleep. And I was like, okay, fine. So we did 2 12-hour days that we looped. So it still came out to the 24-hour day. Then the following years, once we realized, hey, look, we're not getting out of this and lockdown is still kind of a thing and nobody wants to be in person yet. 2021, 2022, and this year, 2023, have been what we like to call campfire style. So it's every Thursday in May for like 3 hours. You get a little bit of content. It's kind of like a webinar, but every week. And the nice thing about this is it gives you that week in between to really like take advantage of the things you've learned and implement them in your business. So it's a way to slow burn. But hopefully next year, we won't have to go virtual. Next year will be our 10th year. We're calling it ACES X just because it's like a Mac thing, because Mac OS 10 was known as Mac OS X for a lot of people. So we're playing on that. But yeah, every Thursday in May for the last like 4 years. It's been rough. It's been fun. I've been doing it right. If you're watching this podcast right now, I'm in the same spot. This is my closet. This is a little studio I built here. I'm in the same spot. I have my mat. I have my shirt. I have my setup. I have my walls. Like, this is where I do it from. This is exactly. And every day I start the same thing with, what's up, everybody? Welcome to ACES Conference, like right from here. So this is like a real deal. This is how I do it.
So the wife has got you in that closet and she shuts the door, locks it for a couple hours and says, come out when you're better.
What's funny is that like my wife works, she has her own office downstairs, but she tends to work in the kitchen. And every Thursday I start the show off, and every Thursday, 5 minutes later, I get a text message going like, wow, that's really loud, because she can hear me. Because I when I start the show, I come out like full blaze, right? And I'm very loud about it. And my voice travels really well in this house.
Yeah. Where can people go back and, we are towards the end of the month. Can people go back and watch the other episodes?
So if you are a paid ticket holder, yes, you can go back and you'll have access to the previous videos. You have to buy in for that year. So anyone who does miss something, we do give them access to be able to see it. So we want, again, the content that we're producing here with the ACES conference is business related topics. Honestly, I could take out the word IT from all of it and make these work for almost any other business. Right? We had a person on yesterday talking about mindful communication, right? And it stops me from saying things like, hey guys, because guys is not an inclusive word.
Yeah.
So like that's not an IT specific thing. We just relate it to IT, right? I could take that entire topic and drop it into any other business and say it's business learnings for, community building, or business learnings for couch manufacturers, whatever. So that's the benefit of it. But we try to gear it specifically towards other Apple consultants, people like myself, who I've known throughout the years, who are members of the Apple Consultants Network, which is a program at Apple, and give them the tools, because a lot of people who are like myself got into this business because they're good with technology.
Yeah.
Right. I know Macs, therefore I will start a Mac business. And here I go, you're forgetting the operative word in that is the word business. You need to know how to handle a business. You need to understand work-life balance and contracts and marketing and branding and what the difference is between those and how to deal with HR and inclusivity and all these things. And so that's what we try to teach within the conference.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, I'm going to ask the question that's got to be asked. You know that you're either an Apple guy or you're not. Yeah, you know. So why Apple? Why Mac?
So I'm a Mac person because I grew up on it, but when I was in college, I did go to the dark side for a little bit, and I came back once I got that job that started me off again in 2004. To be honest, I'm not Apple or PC because at the end of the day, everyone looks at the same gross filth on the internet, right? Like it doesn't matter what computer you're on, what device you're on. I think what makes Apple the best of the two is just because of the way it has been architectured. The fact that the OS and the hardware run simultaneously together in a very synergistic way, right? And that, whilst a lot of people are like, oh, it's a closed system, that closed system has prevented viruses and massive hacks on a lot of Apple-based systems. Like when you hear about somebody being hacked, Home Depot, an airline, or whatever, like it's not like, oh, they got in through the iPads. No, they got in through the Windows XP terminals that haven't been updated in forever because the credit card processors don't want to pay to upgrade the software.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of that. On the other side of that coin, though, I do get a lot of people when I'm pitching my services say, what do I need you for? Macs just work. I can tell you right now, they don't, because I've been in business for this long. And also, it's not you. A lot of the times, it's not the Mac that's the problem. It's the human being. It's the person with the wrong expectations, right? I got a client who's like, this should work this way. And I go, that's not how it works. Why not? Because that's not the way it was designed or built. You can't change a building. You have to change your expectations, right? So a lot of my job is psychology, helping the person understand this is the goal. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times where it is the computer, right? The hard drive fails. That's not psychology. That's literally the hard drive failed. But explaining to the person why it's important they have backups because the hard drive failed. Why did the hard drive fail? I get a lot of times if a hard drive fails, I go, how did this happen? It's supposed to be infallible. It's a Mac. I'm like, this is why we have backups. Also, do you have any light bulbs in your house? Yeah. Have they ever failed? Yeah. Out of the blue? Yeah. Why? And then they go, I don't know, light bulbs just burn out. Cool. Hard drives are just electronics, just like a light bulb. They're just a more complicated light bulb. So being able to explain that to people has definitely got me as far as I've gotten so far in my career. I was actually just having a conversation with a MyMacMentor client today about this. She was asking me about how did Google become Google? And I kind of explained the history of Google and how they started and where they make their money and things like that. And she's like, you're really good at explaining this. And I was like, this is kind of what my, like, one of my many, like, fields of expertise is explaining things and using analogies. I love to use cars as an analogy, right? How do you explain, here, I got a question for you, Zach, right? How do you explain one computer versus another computer when on the outside they look the same, right?
Yeah.
So I say, okay, well, that's a Honda with a V4, and that's an Acura with a V6. They both get you where you want to go. One's a little bit prettier than the other, and one's a little bit got a bigger engine. And they go, oh, I get it. And then they understand why they're spending more money for the second one than the first one. So there's things like that that have helped me along the way. So I wouldn't say a Mac versus PC. Honestly, I don't care. If you have a PC, that's great. Just protect it properly. Stop thinking that you're infallible and stop thinking that they won't hack you because you're just not anybody important. They'll hack you because they can, not because you're nobody. And that's, as long as you take the right precautions, I don't care. That being said, I don't understand how Microsoft programs work the way they work, even in 2023. I'm still confused why you can open up 17 versions of Excel on the same machine. That shouldn't happen. But I'll reserve that for when I have conversations with the people at Microsoft.
You know, what's funny is that you're talking about all this, and we're talking about Microsoft right now. I got a brand new computer. I mean, the thing's less than 6 months old, and it's locked by something called a BitLock.
Yep, you got BitLockered.
Yeah, I'm on an old computer that barely runs because I cannot get my BitLock removed. That BitLocker, I can't get it removed. I can't figure it out. So I've got a giant paperweight right now. So it's something that, yeah, computers and me, we've never been great friends. I Prior to me being ran off the road, I always tell people that I could walk into a room and you could have one of those 1980s computers that were about this wide, and the keyboard was connected to the stand, and it had the old green screen. We all played Oregon Trail on it and stuff like that. It could have been
Right.
unplugged in a closet for 20 years. I would walk into a room and you would see smoke coming out of that closet door just because I am that guy. Okay,
You're
I am
not,
that guy.
don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I know plenty of people who are, your body must just produce more static electricity or electromagnetic electricity. I have plenty of clients who have the same thing. I give a client a new computer and they touch it, first time they've ever touched it, and they get an electrical shock. Like, I'm like, what's wrong with your biochemistry? Like, that's beyond me, right? And sometimes I'll be like, Mercury's in retrograde, and they're like, yes, it is, and I'm like, oh, that explains it. But like, there are plenty of times where I'm like, can I just wrap you in a thing of aluminum foil, because you're an electromagnet waiting to happen. Like, I just, yeah, it's something with biochemistry. It goes beyond my pay grade, but you're not the only one.
You know, my son, who is an Apple honk, okay, this kid loves Apple, everything, Apple, 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 everything he does. And there was one point in time, he was about 9 years old, and he looked at me, and we had just got a computer set up in the house. And again, and I started to walk towards it, and my son, 9 years old, looks at me and he goes, Dad, stop. Sit your fat ass down. What are you doing? And I'm like, son, I just want to check the hockey scores. And he did. He looked at me and he goes, go sit down. I will do it. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, every time you touch a computer, it does not work again. So just go sit down, ask me to do it, and I'll do it.
Nice.
Okay.
How old is your son now?
He's now 21. He's the one that I really want to get you introduced to, because
Yeah.
just to meet him. So I mean, he's a brilliant kid. And you know, well, of course I'm dad. I'm not going to say what a dunce, but you know, I mean, I do. I love the kid, and he's so damn smart about it. I'll call him with a problem, and he'll be like, oh, you're so old. Okay.
It's funny about that because like I do the same thing to my dad. Like, I'll tell a story. My dad, he got scammed out of $1,000 by these hackers, like the people, the fake phone call from India.
Yeah.
They called him up. It was 11:30 at night on a Sunday, and they said, "Hi, we're calling from Apple. Your Apple ID has been locked. Give us $1,000. We'll unlock it." And he didn't know better, and he paid them.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Why didn't you call me?" He goes, "Because it was 11:30 at night." And I said, "Do you think Apple's calling you at 11:30 at night?" Right. And like, then it clicked. And I feel bad because my father's older and I get it. And I'm not mad at him for this. Right. I'm just upset that now I have to tell this story, because I talk about cybersecurity a lot to a lot of people. And in my list of people who have gotten hacked in 2022, it's like Red Cross, the Costa Rican government, my dad. Like, it's just a sad thing to be on that list. But I do tell this story because it just takes a little bit of common sense to think through this thing. And when it's late and you're someone who's older, it may not click right away. So you have to be very cognizant of it, because that's unfortunately the world that we live in, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things we do with our MyMacMentor program, for example, is we try to train residential users to understand and learn that and what to do to protect themselves, right? I got people who are like, I don't pick up the phone for anyone. I'm like, cool, don't. But I have other people who like constantly will do this. I had a client one time, this is years ago, she needed help from Backblaze. Backblaze is this very awesome online backup tool. Backs up your computer to the internet, totally safe, 30-day retention, $6 a month, $7 a month, super awesome, love them. She needed help with it, and instead of calling me, she decided to Google Backblaze support. And she got some random 800 number that popped up on Google. Now, this is years ago. They don't do this anymore. And she ended up on the phone with someone she thought it was at Backblaze, and she gave her username and password, and she almost gave them their credit card, but she saw the invoice they were sending her for $40,000.
Wow.
She didn't need $40,000 worth of backup for her laptop. She was calling a fake number. She didn't realize that. But that $40,000, she stopped. She called me. She said, "Hey, I made a mistake. I called Backblaze. This is what happened." I'm like, "That's not Backblaze." And we figured it out and got it solved. But it was something that just snapped at her to do it. Had that phone call happened at 11:30 at night on a Sunday, I guarantee you she would have been out $40,000.
You know, it is amazing to me, Justin, that look, these guys, they know what they're doing.
Yep.
These scammers know what they do, and they're getting better at disguising things. So it's one of those things you just really got to be careful. Honestly, I was taken for about $250 by one that it's like, hey, we just, your antivirus just noticed
Oh
that
yeah.
you got a virus. You give us, $250, we'll get it fixed. I'm freaking out. New business guy, didn't know what the hell I was doing. Threw him the 250, and they really screwed up my computer,
Yeah.
and that computer was dead. So yeah, it's kind of like one of those things that, bad people, no matter what we do, bad people are going to do bad things. They're going to get smarter at it, and that's an unfortunate thing. Tell me this: the one thing about a computer is no matter, you get this brand new shiny computer, they're already working on the next one. How
Yeah.
difficult is that for you guys to keep up, or is everything pretty much, yeah, they're the same? It's just there's, little tweaks and little stuff that we've got to learn, or is it all, or is it every year? Here we go. We got to learn everything new.
Yeah, it's not that. I mean, for on the Mac side of things, the newest operating system that's currently out, Mac OS 13 Ventura, is a big divergence from what the last 6 or 7 versions have been. So there's a lot to learn there, but it's not so different that any one of us who's been in the business for a long time can just we can adjust. In terms of hardware, I mean, I get this all the time. People say, should I buy now or should I wait? Well, if you wait, you're always going to be waiting because there's always going to be something new that's coming down the
Yeah.
line. And the fact of the matter is, if you buy something today, it's going to last you a good long time. So the learning curve is not that steep. The waiting curve is almost nothing. There's websites out there that say like, don't buy iMacs because they're going to change soon. Like if you need a computer, buy a computer. Like don't wait, just buy it. You're jumping right into the deep end with the new OS, which is great. And of course, everything has bugs.
Yep.
When being a member of the Apple Consultants Network and having my conference of other IT professionals have given me a very large breadth of people to like. Someone finds a bug, we all know about it within 4.5 seconds, right? Hey, just figured this thing out. It's not working. I have 3 Slack workspaces and 2 massive text threads with random Apple people that like, if something is posted here, I'm sharing it here. If something's here, I'm going here and going here. And like, we're all sharing this information. So the learning curve for it is not that bad. Apple is on a every year new OS kind of kick. WWDC, which is Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference, will be happening, I think, in June. They're probably going to announce Mac OS 14, which will come out in September, because that's what their history has done for us. Yeah. But who knows? A lot of people think that they should come out with a they should be 10.13 or sorry, Mac OS 13 B and like fix all the bugs before they go on to 14. These companies love to just throw numbers at things. They don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right. Because the crux of the OS has been the same since 2001 when it was Mac OS 1.0. So as long as you're using it on a day-to-day and at the rate and level that myself and my team use it, anything that's thrown to us, don't get me wrong. I will once in a while say to a client, "Hey, I've never seen this. Let me go do some research," because I'm humble about it and I understand what my limitations are. But at the same time, I would say I've probably seen 90%, 95% of the problems.
Yeah. The one thing, and I've got a couple more questions for you, and then we'll let you go for the day. But the one thing that I find is funny is that now, anytime that a new phone comes out, they don't talk about the phone; they talk about the camera. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the one thing that, it stopped being about the phone about what, 8 years ago, and now every time it's a new camera, it's like, I'm
Well,
not
because
a
it already makes phone
photographer.
calls. Yeah, because it already makes phone calls. What more do you want it to do? Right.
Yeah.
So
It's like I'm not a photographer. I don't care. And besides that, I'm still, and this tells you about me and my technologically advanced brain. I still cannot take a picture without my finger on it. I mean, there's still a finger on
So
every picture I take.
Apple would, you know what Apple would probably say? They'd probably say it's not the phone, it's your finger, cut your finger off, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the phone thing is because you got to remember when the iPhone first came out, Steve Jobs blended web browsing, phone, and music into one tool. Camera
Right.
wasn't even on. Remember the first iPhone didn't have a camera. And so the goal was, how can I make phone calls, listen to music, and get information at the same time? Because remember, the iPad has been out for a while now, and Nokia was rocking the cell phone market. So you had two separate devices in your pocket. So they took the iPod, they added a cellular connection to it, and called it an iPhone, basically. From there, we've already now maximized the technology when it comes to making phone calls. I can pick up the phone, I can press dial, I can call somebody. I can ask Siri, hey, call this person. Or I can FaceTime them. We're not going to get any better with that. That is top of the line. Surfing the web, granted, the antenna can be better, it can be faster, but we've already reached the top of the line because we can surf the internet. So then what's left in this device that can do anything? Well, you have the camera, you have its portability, its lightness, you have its screen size, and that's all anyone talks about now.
Yep.
And that's what the big fight is. If you ever watch those big fights between Apple, Apple fans and Android fans, well, the Samsung Galaxy has 45 cameras and does this thing and blah, 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 and 3D, and it can take a picture before you even know it, blah, blah. And Apple's like, okay, well, you guys do that, and we'll come up with something else, and then we'll steal that from you, and you'll steal this from us.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I can just pick this up, press a couple buttons. Oh, hey, how are you? And be done with it.
Yep.
Right. And that's its core. We've moved beyond its core functionality. So that's why we talk about, that's why a lot of those events are like the new camera, the new this, the new antenna, the new whatever. No one ever talks about Bluetooth, right? When was the last time people were like, it's got Bluetooth 3? Because Bluetooth has capped out its technology skills, right? That's the problem we're running into, which is why, if you've watched anyone downplay the iPhone, let's say 12, 13, 14, and the new one that's going to be coming out, they're like, oh, it's just the same thing with different pictures. Of course it is. It's a phone. It's a phone. It's a phone with a screen that lets you look at the internet while you're on it. You want to look up a recipe? You want to look up a restaurant? It's a phone. It's a mobile computer. There's only so much you can do. Yep. Stop asking for more. It's not innovative. That's my other problem. And this isn't an Apple thing. This is just in general. We've hit our crux at a lot of innovation. And so the iPhone was an innovative thing. It blew people away. The iPad was just a bigger phone, but still pretty innovative. We haven't seen an iPhone level innovative technology in a while. The rumor is that, augmented reality, AR, virtual reality, VR, is going to be the next big technological breakthrough. I don't see it, but then again, who am I?
Yeah, well, things come out of nowhere. Things come out of, science fiction, wherever. They come from somewhere. Things always happen that you're sitting there and, they're amazing for a couple minutes and then it's like, meh, blasé, So it's one of those things. Last question for you. Justin, you've joined the Community Pay It Forward family and we welcome you and we're so proud to have you. Give us a couple ideas on those things that really, really touch your heart. What are some of the things that you love to support and you really see problems with and would like to see more attention on?
Yeah. So as an organization for Virtua, we've actually come together and every year we try to donate to what is it? Feed the Children. Yeah. I'm a father. Our president is a mother. Actually, I can hear my child about to walk into my office here. And we support we're going to have to cut and edit. Daddy's on a phone call. You got to be quiet. Okay. Okay. I'm on a phone call. Can I do that in a minute? Okay. Can I do that in a minute? I'm on a phone call. All right, go sit on the couch. Be quiet. Thank you. Love you. She's home sick. So, but being a parent, our president is a parent, our director of technology is a parent. We do not want to see children in the future go hungry.
Yeah.
So we put money towards those kinds of organizations. And we also support one of our clients. We take care of their technology. We support them also as a company called Stupid Cancer. They help AYA cancer patients and advocates. Very small organization, but a very large giving platform and a very large community, especially in the AYA cancer arena. So we try to support those two as much as possible because, you know, I understand the next generation coming up. We want to make sure we give them the best we can. So we want to make sure that they're fed and we want to make sure that they're healthy. And, you know, that's really important to us.
You know, it's kind of funny. I say it all the time, Justin, that I love my kids, yours not so much, but I think every kid deserves a chance. And I think that's that's a wonderful way of looking at it. And it is true that, cancer is kind of one of those things that, there's not a single one of us who has not been affected in some way by cancer, whether it's just a really good friend. In the last year, I've lost four of my dearest friends to cancer. And it's kind of one of those things. My friend, again, welcome to the family. We're so proud to have you on board. And I can't wait to learn some more about this stuff. You're still talking to a pseudo idiot when it comes to it, but I'm learning. It's
We'll get you there.
Computers and I have now got this agreement. If they will work for me or with me, during business hours, I won't kick them. So we've got that going. But
yeah, we'll get you there. Slowly but surely, we'll get you there.
Eventually. So, but thank you, my friend. I appreciate it so very much.
Thank you.
Justin Esgar from Virtua Computers. You can find him on Community Pay It Forward /Virtua Computers. We are going to be right back with some more stuff, and we're going to be talking about an event this weekend with our great friends at Healing Warriors. So stick with us.